We're here at the start of the DNC's Unity Reform Commission meeting, which will last over 2 days here in Washington, D.C. Day one is going to be taken up by debates over who can vote in Democratic primaries, independents, Democrats, Republicans who re-register as Democrats, independents who register as Democrats, and also the role of superdelegates.
Recommendation number 1, under unpledged delegates, the Commission concurs with the determination of the 2016 Quadrennial Democratic National Convention that the reduction of over 400 unpledged delegate votes, equaling nearly 60% of the total unpledged delegates in 2016, will strengthen the grassroots role in our presidential nominating process.
I mean, even though it significantly reduces the number of superdelegates, it is still my opinion that this party needs to work to abolish a two-tier system that this sets up.
This, bear in mind, is a series of recommendations that will go to the Rules and Bylaws Committee, who will then make a series of recommendations to the broader Democratic National Committee, which will then set the rules for the 2020 presidential campaign.
And the amendment reads as follows: the Democratic National Committee and the party at all levels shall use all means, including encouraging legislation, changing party rules, and undertaking litigation to require that states permit non-aligned voters, also known as independent or no party preference voters, to participate in a Democratic presidential nominating primary.
This is a Democratic Party. If you want to vote in the primary, you should be a Democrat. I think that ultimately that's what it is. You have the ability to be able to register that day. So if I was an independent and all of a sudden I feel moved to vote for someone that day, this amendment, or the way it states it now, is that I'm able to show up, change my party affiliation to a Democrat, vote in it, and still participate.
A lot of young people, especially young people of color, are choosing to identify as an independent right now because they don't have confidence in the Democratic Party. I think that this is a very strong bridge that we are building to prove to those voters that we need and want them in the party.
During one of the recesses, we were able to talk to Nomiki Konst of TYT, who is also a member of the Unity Reform Commission. For people who want the power of superdelegates restricted, how did today's proceedings go?
We knew that there was a mandate going, and I think this is what the public may not be aware of. Before, when the commission was set up, part of the deal that was made between the Clinton and Sanders campaign at the convention was that they were going to, seriously reduce the size and the impact of the superdelegates, down 60% or so. So there was an elimination of all superdelegates, a good chunk of superdelegates, and then those who are left are bound to their states. So it's actually pretty important, and we made sure to fight for certain. If we're not going to eliminate superdelegates all the way, we at least want to make sure those superdelegates, reflect the will of the voters.
If superdelegates are going to be bound by the will of the state voters, should they even be called superdelegates anymore? They're not very super if they're not above the state. Don't they just become extra delegates or something?
I mean, that would hurt their feelings, wouldn't it?
So if we can keep calling them super, because part of it is, that I think people have always wondered, why the hell do we have these in the first place? And isn't the answer sort of like it's just a sop to significant figures in the party, and they want something nice, so this way they can be told they're special, but they actually are not swaying the outcome.
But to be fair, they didn't run for delegate. So a lot of the delegates, unless they're at-large delegates who are appointed, the delegates are elected. They have to run to become delegates. I would say that they're a more formalized at-large delegate, because at-large delegates are put there for diversity reasons. They're, each party, meaning the Sanders or the Clinton campaign, I was an at-large delegate for New York State. Bernie Sanders appointed me as an at-large delegate, and other people ran. And, these dignitaries wouldn't necessarily, they're not running. They would be delegates. They'd have a role, but they'd still have a role in the convention. Because a lot of this is also like going to the convention. Right. They want to be there. Right.